Hi everyone, welcome to Why Am I Green? And today we're going to have some fun. Actually, this is my seed video and starting seeds in different kinds of soil. Now the problem is, lots of times people wonder what kind of soil should I start my garden with. I mean, I've had the struggle. You go through places like Walmart, Home Depot, Lowe's, and they've got tons of different kinds of soils. Matter of fact, I'm going to move this camera around just to show you what I mean. Okay, we have soil-enriched earthworm castings, Miracle Grow, perlite, vermiculite, peat moss. Down here, we have, let's see if you can see them here, we have soil starting mix. There's one with perlite, one with vermiculite, a jiffy one, and regular garden soil. So there's so many choices. People don't know what to use. Now, what I'm going to do is a comparison. I'm going to plant the same seeds. This is, let's see, Blue Bush Lake number 4 string beans. They're organic. I'm going to plant the same amount of seeds in different kinds of soils. They're all going to be watered the same, so it's going to be an exact comparison, and we're going to go from day to day to see how they sprout. In fact, well, I'll show you in a minute. You'll see all the cups. We'll have them all labeled, so this will be kind of fun because I'm really not sure how it's going to work. And I have a couple surprise additions I'm going to put in after this video, so there'll be other competition with these seeds, but they're going to be done in a separate video, so be sure to see the next one. It's kind of an odd way of doing seeds that I wasn't aware of. So we're going to go ahead and do that. Now I want to talk a little bit about the different kinds of soil we're going to be using. So let me go ahead and move this around so we can all be seeing the same thing. Okay, before we get started, I just want you to know that I'm actually doing this in my garage because there's so much soil and I didn't want to make a big mess inside the house. So I'm wearing my coat. It's actually about 20 degrees outside. Just turned on the heat in here and it's still pretty cold, okay? So we're gonna get this going. Once it's done, when we get off camera, I'm gonna do all the watering and then bring this back upstairs in an indoor place to warm everything up and get it growing. So here's what we got, okay? On the other side here, I don't know if you can see, yeah, you can all see over here. This here is just regular garden soil. It's Miracle Grow all-purpose garden soil. So this is pretty much what you get in your garden. Now, since it's winter, I couldn't really go dig up garden, so or dig up the soil because there's snow and ice on there. So this garden soil does have, I think, a little bit of additions. It might have some fertilizer in it. It might have a little bit of peat moss, but everything's going to have the same comparison. So it's about as close to garden soil as we're going to get this time of year. Then the next one over here, this nice rich stuff, look at that. Ooh, what is it? It's pure worm castings, so earthworm castings. The worms have their fun and eat whatever they eat, and this is what they leave behind, okay? It's very rich. I am going to do a comparison with this. Actually, one of them is going to be 100% worm castings. It'll be interesting to see how the plants grow because this is very rich. So what we have now is we have perlite, which is right here, and vermiculite, which is right over here. Let me pick them up and put them here so we can see a little better. So this is perlite. It's light and fluffy, and this is vermiculite. Now these are different, they're not really soils. They're fillers that you would put in soils. What they do is they put a lot of moisture and oxygen. They absorb a lot, so it holds, your soil will hold the water a lot better. For instance, if you're using garden soil, see how heavy that is? You put in this stuff, it's going to make it nice and fluffy. And it's also going to take in, like I said, hold a lot of water for you. Now, I'm actually going to do some plants where I do 100% perlite and 100% vermiculite. Look at that. Basically what this stuff is, I believe this is, from what I understand, it's some kind of rock, basically, that's heated up so much and basically processed into flakes. And I believe perlite is volcanic lava, I believe. I had looked it up once a long time ago, but they hold so much water that they say if you use these alone, it's probably going to make a plant grow real fast, but they're probably going to rot. So we're going to be doing comparisons where we use 100%, then I'm going to mix them 50% with different things, and then we're going to try 10%, which is probably going to be, I think, one of the best mixes. But I'm as curious as you are to see what's going to happen. So that's what we have there. And the last one, which is over here behind the camera, this is peat moss. So we're going to be doing it with peat moss as well and filling them all in. So, put that right over there. Just to show you how I have it all filled up and ready to go. Let's see, these are extras, we don't need these right now. Let me see. I have these all labeled and ready to do. So here's how it's going to go. I'm going to get these both right up here so I can actually read them and show them to you at the same time. Whoops. Careful, I don't want to have an accident. I did earlier when I came down here and they all went flying. All right, so just to show you how I'm going to have it so you'll be able to keep along with me, because what we're going to do is this is going to be like a week-to-week type, or every few days I'm going to check when there's significant growth. We're going to go ahead and show you. So I'm going to use my handy-dandy pointing tool. Over here we have 100% garden soil, worm castings 100%, and over here it's going to be, so those are the two main ones, garden soil and worm castings. Now over here it's going to be 50% perlite in soil, 50% vermiculite in soil. Over here it's going to be 50% peat moss, and I have them all labeled. As you can see, it says soil with peat moss. Okay, so they're all labeled up so you'll be able to see them. And this one here is 50% soil with worm casting. Now the worm casting 100%, worm casting and perlite and vermiculite mixed with peat and soil. So going down here, now this is going to be 100% perlite, 100% vermiculite, 100% peat moss, and this is going to be a 50-50 vermiculite peat moss mix. Now on this side, we don't have enough room, so on this one here, I have them mixed up, with 10%. So again, 10%, I'm going to have to stand up here, 10% worm casting with soil. Okay, this is soil and vermiculite. So it's going to be soil with 10% vermiculite, soil with 10% perlite, soil with 10% peat moss. So this one is worm castings. Oh, again, these are both the same. Worm casting with soil because I wanted to keep it in line. 10% worm castings with soil. Worm casting with 10% vermiculite, 10% perlite, and worm castings with 10% peat moss. Now these two here I already did. I don't know if you can see those two. I think, yeah, they're on the screen right over here, right? Yeah, nope, they're not. So I'm going to put you right over here so you can see those. So these two right here, this one is a Jiffy starter mix, and I just use the mix itself. Now the Jiffy starter mix has has a little bit of, I'm using 100% of the mix without putting anything in, but it comes with peat moss and vermiculite in it. Now I did another starter mix here, which is, it's called New Era. It's just a competition with Jiffy, and the reason I wanted to do this one is this is 100% starter mix already, but instead of having the vermiculite with the Jiffy, this one has perlite in it. So you'll be able to see if a starter mix with perlite or the other one works best. So what I'm going to do is start filling these all in. And I was going to do like a fast forward so you can see me really go at it, but I think that's going to probably take forever. So I'm going to go ahead and stop the videos, and once I get them all in, I'll come back and explain a little bit more what we did. So let me go ahead and stop you for now. Okay, I'm back. I did most of them. I don't want you to miss all the fun, so I'm leaving the last couple to go ahead and mix with you, and that would be, let's see, we have one that's soil and 10% vermiculite. So here's the soil. What I'm doing is filling that up with soil. And let's see, vermiculite. I need about 10% of that. So we're just going to put about 10%, maybe a little bit more. And we're going to go ahead and mix it up. And We have the soil, the vermiculite, a little bit of cayenne, and some heavy cream, and we baked this for about 45 minutes. Oops, I'm sorry. It's the wrong kind of show, isn't it? All right. I'll tell you, I've been doing this here for the last 20 minutes while the camera was off, and I'm starting to feel like I'm cooking something. Okay, we're going to get room to get the seeds in there. So there's the soil and the vermiculite, and I need soil and perlite, and we'll have it all done. Let's see, dump that one in there, and I've been dumping all the extra soil in here, so I got a mix of all kinds of fun stuff in the bottom there that I'm going to use for other seeds. I guess you could say it's a makeshift starter kit. Oops. And yes, I have a mess. Now you see why I didn't want to do this in the house. So here is the last one, so you could all see this is a mixture of 10% perlite and 90% soil. Let's get those big things out. Oops, still get too much. There we go. So I now have soil in all of the pots. So now all I got to do is move some of this stuff out of the way. We're going to take these little roll out, and so we can get to the fun part. What are we here for? Planting, right? So here's everything we just accomplished. And I think you can see all that. Now for the seeds. Like I said, these are all going to be green beans, and they're all going to be planted the same depth. I'm going to put 3 per container. See, the Jiffy I already did. So let's start on this end. Let's go 1, 2, 3. I'm making about a 1/4 inch. It looks more like a 1/2 inch, but once I put the seeds in, I'm going to cover them with the, oops, I can't do that with the perlite. So let's go 1, 2, 3. And what I want to do is, we're going to have to do them by hand and just push them in the perlite and the vermiculite because they're just too thin. So what we'll do is we're going to go ahead and speed this up so you can see it happening as it's happening. Okay, here we go. Not enough seeds, but this one had already been planted, so I got to take those guys out and we'll put them in here, and we ended up with what looks like just enough seeds. I'm going to split here. I had 2 in this one, just enough seeds to get the job done. And there you have it. We have, oops, 1 left. I missed that guy, he got away. There we have it. We have all the seeds planted. Today we are into day 4 of this soil seed growing or seed starting comparison. And let's take a look at how we're doing. So basically the winners over here are 100% garden soil. 2 out of the 3 grew really well. This one has roots, in fact. And then the perlite, half garden soil, did really well. The vermiculite, half soil, those did really well. You can see how tall they are. So they're all doing pretty good. Over here, the soil with peat moss, 2 of them grew. And we have 1 here with the soil and worm castings, and the other 2 are coming up. worm casting and soil here, 50% each. Matter of fact, it looks like, that's the same thing. So these are the same. I don't know how we get two of them. This one has two up. So the winners, if you want to look at which one have three that are good size, would be half vermiculite, half soil. And the full garden soil has two. And I guess the perlite. So the soil side did a lot better than the peat moss or worm casting. Now, the other ones that did really well was, let's look at the Jiffy Mix. This is the pre-mixed starter. I'll move this out of the way. So that's probably the winner of the whole bunch there. After 4 days, all three of them grew pretty well. And this was the other one. Let's see. This was the other starter soil. This one here has starter soil that has a little bit of perlite in it. That one had a little bit of vermiculite. Other than that, the soil with the worm casting didn't do too bad. That's 10% worm casting. This is soil with 10% vermiculite. 10% perlite with soil. And you can see from there they kind of got to be less and less. So all in all, I'm pretty pleased with, I didn't think all of these would come up in 4 days, but the garden soil does really good. Mixed, I think what I would do to get these results would be to mix the garden soil with either a little perlite or a little vermiculite, which does good at the beginning. Now, I don't know how they're going to do as they get older. We'll find out. We'll come back and take a look at them. This is 1 day later, and this is actually going to be the last day of our soil comparison. But let's go ahead and see what happened. I can't believe the growth that happened just overnight. I left these uncovered and actually put them in my small greenhouse, as you can see. I actually got a couple greenhouses yesterday. And so this is 1 day later. And to me, the obvious winner of the whole test would be the, I hate to say it, the pre-made, already done Jiffy Mix, okay? The Jiffy Mix basically is a Jiffy starter mix, has a little bit of peat moss and vermiculite in it. But look at the size of those things. I mean, yesterday they weren't even as high as the sign, but let me go down here below here. Look at that. There's the sign, the Jiffy sign, and look how much taller they got, all three of them. Amazing. Okay, so that's the obvious winner. And then I guess the ones that did best other than that were the ones with the garden soil. Just so regular garden soil, 100%. The garden soil mixed with perlite. So it's garden soil and 50-50. And even the garden soil with vermiculite. So you can see both of those with vermiculite and with the perlite, both did just as well. All three sprouted and they got just as tall. And so the garden soil with peat moss did really well. And the rest are kind of small. The worm castings with vermiculite did pretty good too. But looking at all the rest, we get some growth. But we have the Jiffy Mix, which is the best. And other than that, as you can see, the best ones are everything with the garden soil. So mix things with your garden soil. That's what it showed me. It's interesting how the 100% perlite and 100% vermiculite seem to sprout first, but the vermiculite never really went beyond the sprouting. It just kind of stayed there. And the perlite, again, it kind of stunted. 100% peat moss, nothing. So, like I said, this is going to be the end of the test. And the reason why I'm ending the test is because I want to transplant these all into separate pots because I'm actually going to grow them, use them this summer, and eat them. Okay, we're going to have lots of string beans. But if I keep them this way, I can see some of them are going to grow really well, but the other ones like the vermiculite and you know, and some of the things that the worm castings mixes, which are like this one here, you know, I mean, those there, if I leave them, they're probably going to die. And I don't want them to die. I want to try to salvage as many of these as I can. So if I could plant them all, it looks like I'm going to have like, oh, just taking a guess, at least 40 string bean plants. And maybe later in the year when I show you my garden as it goes, I'll show you how they've gone. But from the growth right now, like I said, just overnight, as you can see, there's even leaves growing. The sprout and the leaves are coming up. I mean, amazing overnight. I can imagine what's going to happen a week from now. So that's it. You can see which ones work best for me. So if you want to make your own starting mix for soil, for starting out your seeds, it shows that the best would be either straight garden soil or mixing it with perlite, mixing it with vermiculite, or even peat moss. 50-50 seems to be the best here. Or if you don't have a lot, just go ahead and get the Jiffy Mix, the starter mix, 100% Jiffy starter mix to get that kind of growth. So thanks for watching, and remember, if you're not growing, you're not green. Bye-bye now.